Today's podcast episode is with the one and only Cody Pastorino. Cody and I have been teammates for the past 7 years on the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns, and we've become very, very good friends. I was the best man at his wedding, and he actually was the person who discovered my highlight tape when I came out of college and helped start the recruiting process to get me over here to Germany and to the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns. So I owe Cody for that one. We had an awesome conversation because he is starting an exciting new chapter in his life. He has accepted a position at the Stuttgart Surge in the ELF after being with the Unicorns for 9 years. So really exciting new chapter for him. End of one chapter, start of a new one. And we had a really great conversation. The bad news is, guys, I really messed up the audio on this interview. Cody's audio is totally fine. His microphone worked, but for some reason my microphone did not record, so I had to turn up the audio from the camera audio, and it's not great. So when I'm speaking, it's pretty brutal. I had to sort of fade it in and out. So Cody's audio is fine, and he speaks most of the time because he's the important guest, but I very much apologize for how bad my audio is and sort of the fading in and out. But yeah, it's listenable, but it's not very professional. But it's a great conversation nevertheless, so I hope you guys can look past that or listen past that. Without further ado, the Imported Podcast with the one and only Cody Pastorino.
Not quite sure.
Cody Pastorino on the NELF, the Imported Podcast. Crazy time for you right now, man. It's a
really
it is. Crazy time.
It is.
How do you feel with it all?
Riding the roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's been that way for, probably the last 6 weeks or so of just kind of figuring out how this is all going to go, weighing everything, all the decisions, everything like that. And then, once the decision became final, just still riding that wave of, waking up in the middle of the night, sad about things, whether, leaving or worried about relationships or whatever. And then, and then all of a sudden, going back to sleep and waking up and just being fully excited about something new, challenge, and just, So, just still riding that. I think the drops have been getting shorter and shorter as far as like the ups and downs to where, it's starting to level off now or, for the most part at that point, just all ups. But yeah, it's definitely been a ride.
An emotional roller coaster, as they say. Yeah,
exactly.
Understandably so. We talked a lot about all this because I knew I was kind of in the know because people don't know you and I are close friends.
Yeah, I know. I know. They think I just hop on YouTube videos.
Crazy. YouTube. We talked about it a ton, kind of the going back and forth, the way and everything, because you have, with both of us, but even you, longer such a history with the Unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it? You came for. I know the answer, but when you came to the Unicorns, give me a little of your background of being a player and a coach combo.
Yeah. So I ended up signing in 2014. Pretty crazy actually. It was the year Jordan came back. I was actually his first signing back with the Unicorns in 2014, and then all of a sudden I got here, and about halfway through the year, an opportunity for a school job popped up, and I'd been doing a bunch of coaching already. I did some U15 with now head coach Christian Rote. Was on his staff for U15. That was 7-on-7 tackle, which was a just blast.
Wait, did they still do that? They don't do that.
They don't do it anymore, no. So U13 is still, but they've upped the age now. So that was U15 tackle, and those guys with like Henry Bendel and guys that we're playing with now. We're all on this U15 team that I was coaching. And then really started to help out as far as like coaching that year with the adult team. And, to where when this job came up, it was kind of like, I had some opportunities back stateside as far as coaching opportunities. But I kind of just really liked the vibe and everything, really loved Schwäbisch Hall. And, it was just like, hey, could you see yourself taking this school job and staying out here year round? And why not? I didn't have anything lined up at home, concrete. And so I took it, and then, worked that school job for about 4 years or so. And at that point started really getting involved with the coaching side of things, whether it was, DCing the U16 and eventually being the head coach there, or eventually getting involved when the academy all got started. But then also with our adult team in that first off season going into 2015, we wanted to switch from a 4-3 to a 3-4. That was what I was comfortable in. That's what I'd played in at Willamette, what I'd coached full-time for the year. I was a full-time coach. So I kind of, really helped in the install and stuff of basically kind of the system we're running now and have been running the last few years. So, kind of just got that all. And that's when I was really like, man, this place is special. We're just trying to fit in where I could as far as, helping coaching with whether it's youth or the adult team. And then just did that for about 8 years.
Quick 8 years.
Yeah.
How, that's the defense we run now, and that only took me 7 years to learn. I almost got it down, right?
Yeah, we like this. Yeah, we say you're like a super senior. Yeah, you got it figured out.
I'm like a senior that went on his Mormon mission and came back or something.
Yeah.
I got it. How is the because that's like such a crazy thing. You've been so involved with the Unicorns on so many different levels, and like the youth stuff. It's often like I come into Patchwork and you're training a group of 20, 14-year-old unicorn guys to work out and stuff, and then you and Jordan involved with the Unicorns Academy, the youth stuff, have been so involved in that and instrumental in that. And then, like you said, certain guys that you coached years ago that are now this year we're on the same team as you.
Yeah.
How does that feel? That's a crazy thing.
Makes you feel really old.
You
are. No, honestly, there's, I'd heard about, guys joking around that guys they've coached, they've played with and things like that. And it never really crossed my mind thinking, one, I was even going to play that long because I was coaching the youngest age. And you're like, okay, if I was coaching 18, 19-year-olds, yeah, okay, next year they're on our team. But when they were 13 or 14, you're like, yeah, okay, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to be playing with these guys. But it was fun. I was glad I got to, especially had some good memories, some being out in the field and honestly, taking some of it in, looking forward and seeing a Henry Bendel in front of you. And you're like, I just remember when he was, this big and trying to go through ladder drills and, just teaching guys how to tackle. And now they're, the inside backer right in front of you, fitting things up with you. So, I mean, it was a blast. I did take in a couple moments this year. Unfortunately, just the way my season went, didn't get to take as many as I had hoped, but still had a blast, and I'm happy for the opportunities that I got.
That's such a unique thing about the football teams out here and how everything's structured out here in Germany is that, I mean, it's still pretty rare, but for a guy like you to be coaching kids at such a young age and then to eventually play with them on the same field. Was it like, for example, we keep talking about Henry Bendel, but how does the relationship change once he becomes your teammate? Because he has had to look up to you as a coach for years, and then all of a sudden you're technically teammate. You're on the same place with your teammates.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different, but I mean, I would just I would still try to just, for me, I always tried to help anybody regardless, right? I always kind of felt I was in a coaching type role all the time. Now, I was fortunate that a lot of these guys that I did coach, I would see something in them, like Henry, for instance. I mean, he coached U16 for me as well. So and to an extent where we've been on, let's say, the same level before, just because when I always enjoyed taking these kids and then giving them the opportunity to try to join like my U16 staff, for instance, and to where, kind of building that, not just that player-coach relationship, but then just more of an overall friendship. So I'd like to think that with a lot of these guys that came up, I mean, some of them still call me coach, even it's been 5 or 6 years, which is fun. Like, I mean, I still call coaches I know from 15 years ago still coach. Like, you'll always be, if you coach me, you're going to be a coach for life. And so, I still hear that, but it wasn't as weird as I thought it would be.
Yeah. That's so funny. Even like my dad, I saw him, he was meeting with his old college coach. He was like 45 years old, and this coach is like 70. He kept calling, "Hey, coach, what's up, coach?" He's like, "You coached so long ago," but that stays forever.
I mean, So yeah, our new gig, I'll be coaching with Jordan and Johnny, and every time I get a phone call from one of them, I answer, "Hey, coach, what's up?" Yeah. Like they're gonna be coach forever, and I mean,
that's crazy. We talked a little bit about some of your coaching stuff. I mean, there's so much we could dive into with the coaching stuff, because you playing as an active player on the season or on the senior team. Like being my teammate, you were also super involved in the coaching side of things. You're really like the definition of a player coach. How hard is that to balance those roles? It's super unique.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you just have to walk a fine line sometimes, especially when you're sitting in meetings and stuff, and you're just trying to balance on, trying to weigh things from both sides, I guess, But then I do think, and that's something I'm going to have to learn, it was always, I could see things and make adjustments because you were on the field. You felt it. Yeah. You felt the vibe of how things were going because you were in it. Yeah. I'm not saying coaches on the sideline aren't in it. They're obviously locked in and stuff, but it was something different that even, I was fortunate enough this year. Obviously, I've done it in the youth and stuff, but this year with the adult team to be able to only be in full-time coaching roles, the last half of the season, and starting to get a better grip on only coaching from the sideline, because it was so different. I could come off and be like, those 3-4 run plays hit there, because a lot of time I was back there and you could just see it. And so just now trying to, figure out where things are hitting, what's the overall vibe when you're actually not in it. That's going to be something new for me. But overall, that it was a fun role as far as, being able to be out there and still be around and fly around with everybody, but then also kind of have a say in what we're doing and getting into.
It's cool for me having basically a coach behind me, because I could always just say, hey, what do I do here? What's my stuff here? And there were a few times where you being in coach mode or reading or interpreting the game from the coach's perspective at your safety position, and would be like, Nick, they're going to run a slant right here. Number 3 is going to run a slant. I remember one time specifically, we're like, Nick, 3, run the slant, guard him. I'm like, gotcha. They do a play action or something, I jump up, bite on it, they throw a slant for a touchdown. But sometimes I listen to you, and
sometimes every once in a while, because I did just come across our bubble slant play as well, where
I really thought they were throwing the bubble. I could tell.
Nick, bubble slant's coming. Do not jump the bubble.
Which one was that? What game was
this? Was Marburg.
Which year?
I believe 2017, I think.
It took me a few years to stop jumping the bubble. That was really my favorite thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. No, you know what? Sophomore year mistake, all good. It got better, your junior, senior, super senior, super senior. They started to cut down at that point.
But if you're right when you jump the bubble,
oh man, they feel you, because I would know, because you've missed some of those guys on the bubble too, and only hit me.
The first game that I played with the Unicorns, 2016 Frankfurt, I remember, I don't really know you very well yet. And I remember there were just multiple times where I full force only hit you or hit you off a guy.
I felt like it was personal, because we hadn't played together, and I was like, God, I think this guy's got it out for me.
Gotcha.
Because there's a few.
There was even a Unicorn tackle that scene where your tackles were on me. I tackled Cody 5 times.
Over and over.
It's sort of, it's one of the dangers of the profession, just flying around. There was a really bad one this year at Robinson.
There was.
That one I felt bad for.
That one, there's not many times where I need to just get away from you for a minute. But I didn't even know if I was going to play that game before, and then one of the first plays you just teed off on me.
Gotcha.
And, that was one of the few times where I was just, I just need a minute.
Yeah.
I can't really. I just got to.
And I remember that one. And I said, that's going to look bad on film. And it looked horrible. Looked horrible. Getting more into the playing side of stuff. For those who don't know, you played in the German Football League 2014 to 2022, minus the 2020 COVID year. Ended your career as the GFL all-time leader in interceptions. a bunch of German Bowl championships. We shared 3 together. What are some of your best favorite memories of the time on the field, like football-wise?
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, I could honestly say, the first thing that pops up is obviously the 2017 championship. That had been a grind of a.
There it is, right there.
There it is, of a process. 2014 we come out, rough start to the year. I think we were 2-2 or something, and then we rolled off 12, 13, and 14 straight, something like that, and then just got annihilated in the championship. We're down like 40 or something at halftime. It was brutal. To where, it was next year got closer, lost the 2 championship games we had that year by 10, both of them. 16, your first year, we were close. We were right there. And then so I think 17, just to be able to cap it all off, it's kind of a 4-year process. People probably don't know anything about it, but just the trust and stuff we had within that, either that game, that game for me, never really had that feeling of football before, where it was almost like I didn't really care what our offense was doing. I just didn't want to be off the field. Like, we were just so locked in that it was almost like, dang, we got him the punt or we forced the turnover. Let's just stay on, because it's like I didn't want us to get cold. We were like, it felt like in basketball, like they needed to take a timeout to like ice us. It just felt like we were locked in all the way through. And then even before the last play, I still go back to, we had some success. They had one bad snap. The next field goal, I came through and blocked. And I remember thinking, okay, and Johnny was calling it from the sideline, like, bring it from that side again. And I'm sitting there on the field arguing with Raheem. And we're sitting there. He's like, no, bring it from the other side. Yeah. And I was like, no, like we had success. We were 2 for 2, And he's like, you have to trust me. Bring it from the other side. All right. So then, we just on the field, we called it, and we came from the other way. And then that's when Dev just comes through like a man and blocks it. And yeah, that goes all the way back to, him and I still talk about it, when we get in touch, and that was just one of those things. You got to like trust your teammates, and he knew something was telling him, hey, we got to come from the left now. And we did. All right. And we just lined up, and boom. So just everything that went into winning that, the process of years, the in-game process, to even coming down to like a situation like that right before, really makes that just such a memorable time and stuff.
That one was crazy. And even just, I remember, because we had so many stops like in the red zone on defense. And can I help you? Sorry. It's Mikey Alfieri. He's in the background trying to make as much noise as possible. That was like, there's so many times where it was just statistically situations where the team would be scoring more often than not. And we held them so many times, and it was just, we had such a confidence every time we ran on the field as a defense. I know for sure we're going to stop them, even though they had the ball like the 11-yard line.
Yeah, no, there's so many times that game where you're just like, man, at some point, even go back and watching it, I'm like, there's no way we're winning this game, because just like where it kept situations were starting and stuff. But it was just, like I said, one of those games I've never experienced in football before, where it was just like truly like entire defense in a zone, where it was just like, all right. I remember I felt like there was a bad PI call, and it was like, all right, well, it's 3 more plays. Yeah. Just like, all right, cool. It's not like, and normally I'd like to, those championship type games, you'd be, you can't give them another opportunity and things like that. But it was just, I don't know, we were just feeling so good that it didn't, like, I was like, in the long run, this is better, because I don't want us to cool down. And
that was a great example of the Unicorns' magic. That was just a magical game.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Raheem, he's a dude like an absolute legend out here. He had a great quick stint out here in Europe, 1.5 years, 2 years.
2 years. Yep.
That's what's so cool. I know with us Unicorn guys, we have like a core group of dudes that have basically been here for a long time, but then awesome guys that have come for a year or 2 years, 1.5 years, guys like Raheem, or guys like CJ, who we just become friends with, and it's such a bond being an import on the team that is just like friends for life. And Raheem has been crushing it in the CFL.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're heading into the playoffs in a week or two, and yeah, he's had 3 or 4 just super successful years now, and yeah, doing a great job.
That's so awesome. Pivoting more to the future.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about like this was a heavy decision, one that you thought about for a long time, and like a huge, basically end of one chapter, start of a new chapter for you.
Yep.
Right? What are you excited about for this new chapter?
Honestly, I mean, this is really now. I mean, this will be going into my coaching career now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done it. I've obviously been a part of helping, and yeah, I've been coaching the youth, and like I said, I love doing that. You know, I still hope to be able to as much as I can, but this is really the start of my coaching career. I'm super excited about taking on, the challenge that's going to come with this move, as far as, organization, coming from an organization that just has a history of winning. Because, even when I know back, if you would, farther back, where there's some not rough years, but, some 500 type years and stuff on the buildup of the Unicorns history. But when I got here, they were, they've won back-to-back championships. There's a bad year there, but they'd still won the South Championship, just had a rough playoff game. And so you were coming into a place that was expected to pretty much win the South Championship and then hopefully be competing for a German Bowl. And to where now, you're like, okay, this is a winning culture. Well, now the challenge for us is to go create that now with the Stuttgart Surge. And so I'm super excited to be a part of that. If we're able to turn it around, that's going to just be an absolute blast.
I asked Jordan this. This is a super hard question, but and maybe you don't know the answer, what would it take for you to define the first year out of that campaign as a success? Is it winning one game?
No, I could tell you. At least my mindset is, because I had read somebody had joked like, oh, you win 6 games, you're in running for coach of the year. Yeah. Like when, as for Jordan's, outlook and stuff. But I wouldn't really judge it wins, losses, to be honest. I want us to get there, change the culture to where, okay, yeah, it may take some time, new system for some guys, everything where you didn't have that problem here. Like I felt here we could start in April, and everybody knew for the most part what was really going on. Like outside of the, 5 to 10 new guys you brought in every year, there's going to be a large core of dudes that knew our offense, knew our special teams, knew our defense. And so, that's a new challenge. So I don't want to, base it all on wins, losses. I want to see that we are creating the right culture, right? Where we're getting the guys that have the culture we want. And then because I do know if we get that set, the wins will take care of themselves. Maybe it's not year one, maybe it does take 2-3 years. But if I just think about the process from us winning the German Bowl in 2017, that started in 2014, right. So taking something like that where we knew we had the right culture, we were getting into the right system, we were building, we were getting better and better to where we knew eventually we were going to break through. And I feel if we could start seeing that year one, I'll count that as a success, but I can't openly say too, like, I'm not coming there to go 500 either. Like that mindset wise, like, hey, I'm going to go make some noise, obviously in this league. So I'm excited about it, but yeah, obviously still managing expectations at the same time.
I feel like you're going to be able to have a good level of success just from my perspective. I know a lot of people are excited about the new coaches going to this team. There's a lot of talent in the Stuttgart area, guys that live in the area that I think who maybe would have played for Stuttgart in the past, but are out in different places now that will maybe be excited to go back and play for you guys. So I just feel like there's going to be a good amount of talent coming your way, and if you can establish the culture as well. Yeah.
So I can tell you that there's been a ton of excitement. Obviously working with the youth, I've been able to see firsthand how talented kids at Stuttgart are too. And to where it's, there's a ton of talent, and like you said, we just got to start building the culture the way we see it, and if we get the buy-in and we get some guys back, then I do think good things will happen.
Yeah. How do you feel about not playing anymore?
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough. It was a emotional year for me, because I kind of thought I'd be done after last year. German Bowl quite didn't go the way we had hoped, and then for me too, that was just a game where personally I had one of the best games of my career, but just overall looking at it, it was just like, I can't have this be my last game just because I honestly, I felt like we just kind of gave it away. And and that's not taking anything away from Dresden. I mean, they're a heck of a team, and they played really well. I just thought some things, ball just didn't bounce our way a couple times, and some missed opportunities on our end where I just feel like we kind of, let it slip away there, to where I always felt like that would just eat at me if I retired after that one. So then, and then honestly hearing you and Rudy coming back, getting Mikey here and stuff, and getting a Riley and a Pepe, and then I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm ready to run this back. Obviously, just didn't go the way I'd hoped, but it still ended the way I wanted it to. As far as not everybody could say they ended with a championship. It was a big important thing for me to at least just be able to dress. Put the shoulder pads on one more time, come out, warm up, do indies. Come out of the tunnel, that was a big thing for me. So I was really happy I got to be able to just do that, and then just watching the guys go out there and play the way you guys did. It left me at peace at that point. Now I will say it's still really hard. As far as I don't feel like I'm done as far as like the will to play.
Right.
Unfortunately, I just kind of see the wear and tear on the body for the reward just not matching up right now.
I just feel like, because I'm sort of dealing with the same, similar emotions. Like, it would be perfect. It would be like a perfect storybook end for my football career right now if I retired right now. Like, we went out, third German Bowl championship, perfect season, awesome thing. A lot of things are changing at this place that I've been for so long. It's like, no matter what decision I make, it's going to be a new chapter for me. But it's like, and I talked to some older guys who have retired, and I said, do you feel like satisfied? You went out on a championship and you're retired now. Do you feel satisfied? And you'll always have the itch to play. Yeah. And it's just trying to, like, I'm so wide open. I have no idea. Am I going to play football again? Am I retired?
Yeah. I know. I mean, like I said, I feel like I'm more than willing, more than like you have it, right? And you're like, but same, just at that point, other opportunities are coming up and things like that, and honestly, I could, we are talking openly and stuff. It's like, yeah, this year was tough where, I got a newborn little girl at home, and I can't walk for 4 weeks with a broken leg, and then 3 weeks into that, tear a pec, and I can't hold her I'm just now starting to be able to hold her above my head, and that's been 3 months now. So I mean, yeah, just missing out on stuff like that was tough. I know I made it really hard on Speedy there for 2 months, and she would never be one to tell me to stop, so, but just, looking at my family obligations and stuff and everything that comes with that, being a father and a husband, and, like I said, and even the reward that comes back with playing, and, just trying to, how to balance all that.
Man, it's so crazy what sacrifices we'll make to play football. So I know it's good. Man, heroin must be really good if people are willing to throw their whole lives away for it.
Yeah.
Football must be pretty good if they're willing to make all these sacrifices for it. But it's like, at a certain point, you've got to figure out the balance of it all.
Yeah.
It's just, man. We're getting old, Jones.
We're getting up there, man.
We're getting real old.
We're getting up there.
You're falling apart. I got 2 busted MCLs. No one in the history of the world has worse MCLs than me.
I don't know. Has anybody ever double knee braced and played inside backer before?
That's
you
true.
need to go do some Google searching.
I saw a world record for that. It was like the offensive line with knee brace swag. But you know what's crazy? Usually when I had the knee brace previously, like when I first got the left one in college, I don't feel like it slowed me down. Mm-hmm. But I played 2 games this year with 2 knee braces, and there were 2 plays in particular where I feel like if I wasn't wearing 2 knee braces, I would have caught this guy. I was like a half step slower with 2 knee braces.
You could feel it.
I could feel it. There was one in Algoy, and then there was one play in the German Bowl where I was like on the strong side. They ran. This is when they're doing all those quarterback runs into their sideline, and I just ran from the opposite side, and no one blocked me. And I took an angle that I always take, but it was a half step behind, and it's just.
Did you? I'm flipping it on you. I'm asking questions now.
Yeah, let's go.
Any times where you were ever just like, man, but I feel really safe. Like, I mean, that's the O lineman things, right? Why they actually really enjoy it. But I know it's a whole different world for, a second or third level players at that point. But
I think.
Do you ever feel like, okay, no, like I feel safe?
No, I don't feel like. I feel like it was like I could still for sure bust my knee up wearing these.
All right, well then that's just tough.
But I would feel terrified not wearing them. But even when I came back for the semi and the German Bowl, I'm in warm-ups and I got these knee braces on and I'm doing opening up for a pass drop and I feel a twinge in there. I'm like, how am I going to play a game? But somehow it goes away. You tighten up the knee brace and block it out. Yeah, it's just like what we go through and just at the end of the football career is just so many things on our body to make us.
How much tape and braces and things that you just put on. Yeah. I mean, I could say when I went in there for the pec surgery and just talking to the surgeon, and she's like, and I'm like, well, hey, do you think you could fix the labrum when you're in here? And she was like looking at it, and she walks over and she's looking, and you could tell, like I could see in her eyes something was wrong. I go, oh no, the bicep tendon's torn too. She's like, yeah, when did you? I was like 2 years ago. And she's like, well, anything else? And I had to bring up like, well, when I'm asleep and you're moving me from the bed to like the cart, like my leg right now is broken. Like my fibula was still broken. So she was just like, and you like this sport?
You love it?
And I was like, I know. It's like, is there any way I'm back by October? And she's like, what are you, psycho? But
that's how it is.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It was like I was ready to just do whatever. I said, if you need to leave this half done and finish it later, like whatever you got to do, like if there's any chance to be able to go in October, do it. But when I added the broken leg on top of it, the look in her face was just.
I keep forgetting you have a broken leg this year. You kept saying that so casually because it was like a big a crack.
Yeah, it was just in the fibula. Yeah. It just was a clean break, so I didn't need a boot. I didn't need crutches. It just needed.
But you had a broken leg and you were just walking around. It was so funny to just be casual, like, oh yeah, Cody broke his leg in the game. And
just remember, Bowman was pissed because we just left his office like, okay, we need to like rest, and we were talking about things. Yeah. And I was just like running up and down the sideline the whole second half, like just trying to like coach and stuff, and then finally it was just, you have to go sit down right now. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I remember even in the German Bowl week, once we won the semifinal and we were set to play in the German Bowl, you texted a bunch of doctors back home. You tried to get approval from a bunch of different doctors. Like, can I play just with a torn bicep?
Just wanted one to just give me like any sort of, like I didn't even get a maybe, but it was just like, set some feelers out there to try to convince myself.
Shoot you up with a bunch of, what is it, cortisone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they allow that anymore.
No.
Yeah, we're getting old, Jones. We're getting real old. Enough about our football playing careers. We're old and washed up, man.
Yes.
We're old, washed up, but we got the rings. We're getting 3 more rings this year.
Yeah.
Italy, the Italian Championship, CEFL, another German Bowl.
Yep.
We're back Tom Brady.
Yeah, we have 6.
What was I going to say? Oh, back to the future, the ELF stuff. And you don't have to get into too many details on it. You don't want to give away your trade secrets. But probably started recruiting for the ELF. How, I asked Jordan this too, are there differences, different challenges, or different approaches you take when recruiting guys for an ELF team as opposed to in the past when you've recruited guys to the GFL?
A little bit, yeah, I would say, but just more I mean, this goes back to, we still want to be recruiting our type of guys.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. I mean, 2 or 3 minutes into a phone call, you know you could either hang up this call or not, on, just the overall feeling and things of, yep, he's the type of guy we want within our team or not, for just what we're looking for. But, I mean, I guess you could say a little bit just from the Unicorns for the fact that, there is a little bit more, I mean, financially, right? I mean, just as there is some compensation that you could offer players now that we just were never, able to offer here. And so, I mean, that's a little bit of a change. So I do feel in the past, I mean, if we had thrown on a couple €100 or something on a guy, I feel like that we maybe have lost back in, over the years with the Unicorns. Maybe we would have got him. But like I said, we were getting the best thing you knew about recruiting that way with the Unicorns was you knew you were getting people that was just all about ball. I mean, they were coming here because they wanted to win, they wanted to be coached, and it had nothing to do with money or any of that stuff. So, I still think we are approaching it that same way. Okay, yeah, we could put some money on top of it now, but if it really turns into this reason of, I'm only coming here for this amount of money or such, along those lines, well, then I think we'll really start asking ourselves, is that the right kind of guy for our team and stuff? So a little bit recruiting differently just because you could offer some stuff now, but as far as coming back with, it just still comes back to culture and your type of guys. As far as, I mean, it is a little more of attraction, right? I mean, the ELF does a great job of social media and all that stuff to where, you could present yourself in a little different way. Now, I will say the Unicorns, at least from my experience recruiting and talking to imports and stuff like that, we always had, so when it came to media and stuff. So that won't be different because I was always able to send short little clips out from our home games or our highlights from playoff games or the German Bowls in the past that would really get guys fired up and wanting to come here. So as far as the media stuff, ELF does a great job, but the Unicorns did as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just, it is different. You do have the appeal of playing in different countries, which cool. I remember thinking, I mean, this was just us being naive Americans and not knowing anything really about football in Europe. Coming out, I really didn't know we were only going to be playing, only in Germany. At the time, it was still Big Six, which, was presented to me by some guys who I knew had played in European football. That's the 6 best teams from 6 different countries. And you're like, okay, well, I may be playing in, 3 or 4 different countries this year. And, that had kind of changed. My first years out here was pretty much just German teams and maybe an Austrian team or 2. But it was still, just playing in Germany. So, I mean, even for me, I'm excited to play in some different countries now with different teams you haven't seen before. And I do think that is kind of a selling point for some of these guys, especially who played in the GFL for so long. To just see some different faces and players and teams.
That's a cool thing. Flying to games, going to different countries. Some guys flying down to Barcelona to play in Spain and stuff. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Is there an extra challenge because, say, for example, when you were in the past recruiting for the GFL, you just know, okay, we only compensate our Americans and everyone else is not getting compensated. But now you kind of have a new challenge of where you have to sort of organize and decide who gets compensated and how much.
Oh, yeah, it's like playing Madden.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I mean, I've never sat in budget meetings and things like this, basically of, hey, this is your cap. You've got 4 guys in this block. Here's your cap. Figure it out. You just got to stay within this. And yeah, it's a new challenge. It's fun. And honestly, it is. And I'm not a business person. I'm a football person. And because even I was like, man, you went to Willamette, probably went to business school. Nope. I tried to stay as far as away. My other 3 roommates all have MBAs and they're all set. And not me. No, I was a footballer. But even I really didn't think I would find enjoyment in that. But even our first meeting, I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. That's what I was thinking. It's just another little added wrinkle that's kind of It's exciting.
And I think that's what I was always concerned, me personally, that, when you talk about front office or things like that it pulls away from like the football,
Right.
which I do. This is timing wise, I like it because right now it's off season, so it's not something where I would want to do when we're in season. Like if we had to be doing all this in season and stuff, and it's pulling away from watching film or getting out in the practice field running around with guys, then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really, I don't like that. Yeah. But right now in the off season, and that's all you're trying to do is figure out, these numbers for these guys and moving around, and you're like, it makes the off season even a little more exciting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's just a cool little extra thing. But not in season. It'd be tough to do it in week. One thing that you touched on that I want to emphasize and what is the word I'm looking for? Not mirror. What is it when you verbally repeat something? It's not mirror. Emphasize, is that the word? I guess emphasize. Yeah. Is that the ELF has such good media stuff, but within the GFL, the Unicorns have done such a great job with their media stuff and their brand, and their Instagram looks great. Like Yulia, who runs our Instagram, a lot of the social media, and some of those people, they crush that. So it's like, it just sucks that the rest of the GFL sucks.
I told her specifically, I said, I wish every team had Yulia and staff, because we probably wouldn't be at this point. That's the Unicorns. There's 2 or 3 teams that were basically ELF teams. Unfortunately, I don't want to say stuck in the GFL, but
I'll say it, stuck in the GFL.
Your words, not mine.
My words.
But where they were doing things the right way, pushing forward, trying to continue to fight and stuff, and I'm never going to be a person that takes away from the Unicorns, because what they do from top to bottom is just unbelievable, unreal. It's amazing, and the way that we tried to fight as the Unicorns this year, as far as media and stuff, and things were out, and we were all these super cool photo shoots and everything. All that just absolutely just crushed, trying to set the standard, for the rest of the league. And I know it does come down to manpower, and it comes down to things like that. And you've got to have people to, volunteer and do it. And at that point, then we're just super fortunate that we have those kinds of people here in Schwäbisch Hall that would do those things for us. Because, you talk about the brand. Everybody knows about the Unicorns, and our social media was always, super on point, and, it's only the positive things. So, I can't emphasize you emphasizing that enough of just how good of the work and stuff everybody does do.
That's what I like what you said. Like, they basically, Unicorns media set the standard for the GFL to hopefully follow and compete marketing-wise and media-wise with the ELF, and not much following there with that, unfortunately. Because I always say, even with the ELF, I always still think that the Unicorns, as an individual team, are one of the top 3 or so brands of American football in Europe.
Yeah,
like Vienna Vikings are up there for sure. A couple other ELF teams right now, but outside the ELF, the Unicorns are crushing it brand-wise.
I'm not afraid. I'll give credit where credit's due. I'm gonna give you some credit here on your own podcast, as far as bringing some more attention. Like we said, when you vlog wise, or whether it's on YouTube, or this beautiful poster we have sitting right here behind us on Unicorn Town, that one day we'll be in Europe. I think one day. Okay, we'll get there. But I want to make sure that everybody knows here how big of a job and how much you've brought as well. So I just want to make sure. I know you had me on your own podcast, but I do want to give credit to you as well there.
Thanks a lot, man. I do very much appreciate that. I do work hard. I did work hard on this.
You did. Because I don't know. Like I said, people maybe think we only do a couple we only get together for, a vlog here or Instagram reel or, mountain bike trip there or whatever. But I know how hard you worked throughout that 6-year process there. Of like, hey, you want to come to dinner? Can't. Got this meeting, or I gotta. This has to be in by this time, midnight or whatever. I got to be up all night. To where you were missing out on stuff to really get this out, and so everybody can experience this. So I mean, I know you sacrificed a lot, so I just want to make sure anybody watching,
appreciate that, man.
This thing didn't just make itself.
Thanks a lot, Chaz. I appreciate that. And yeah, actually, especially this year when it was getting close to the release, there were times when I drove to practice, and I got like a call from our sound mix guy, emergency, and everything was 9 hours behind, so I had to stay up so late all night.
Doing it all on the time change and trying to,
But we got it done, and hopefully it comes out in Europe. Now it'll come out some just stupid delays from some incompetent.
Copy!
So yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course, dude.
We've had a good run, Childs.
Yeah,
it's been a good run.
Been a lot of fun.
The last thing I wanna mention is that you discovered me to come out to Europe.
You did.
Can you tell me that story one more time?
You had fun. Yeah, I just going through stats and came across your name, and this was probably funny. That's how we probably should have known we'd eventually be adopting you, because it was probably about 2:30 in the morning. I'm laying in bed, Speedy sleeping next to me. I'm just on the laptop trying to find people, because when I am recruiting and trying to find imports and stuff, a lot of those times they turn into late nights because I want to shoot a message out. Yeah. So when you guys are awake, right, and see if there's any sort of back and forth, and so those recruiting nights, especially when it comes to Americans, turn into some late nights, and Speedy basically knows we just sleep with a laptop somewhere around. And so I'm saying that I found you and found a highlight tape, and at the time I didn't know you were a movie maker. Should have realized I was just editing skills, but no, and I'm sitting there and the music was flowing and things were timed up perfect, which I could tell you, if the highlight film gets you, if you're getting excited while watching it, that's a real thing when it comes to down the road where you're like, I really like this guy. Shout out to Raheem. Raheem knows I was fighting against him because his had no music, and he was wearing some terrible socks one game. He was like, it was a muddy game or something. I just remember this guy looks weird, no music. Love you, Heem. But no, and then the thing that they threw out there was you had some sort of sound bite from Portland.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. All the way from Portland, Oregon. I just got done, playing 4 years in Salem and coaching another year there, and I'd been to Portland a bunch and played those teams, and I could say I like West Coast guys when it comes to recruiting and stuff, just a little more laid back. But yeah, hearing that, I was like, oh, so he's from Portland, and then Googled you, found you on Facebook, and saw that we had some mutual friends.
Don Forrest,
yep, Jack. That's some guys you had played with in high school that I either played against in college or was teammates with. So then I was like, okay, there might be something here. And then and then so I was like, okay, let's shoot the message out and forwarded. And I remember I woke Speedy up.
Yeah, she always says
yep. I woke her up and said, I think we just found the guy. And she's probably, I don't remember the answer, leave me the fuck alone, or let me go back to sleep. I gotta get up in 2.5 hours for work. Yeah, but then forwarded it to Jordan, and if you watch Unicorn Town, the rest is history.
Good stuff, Chokes. I appreciate you finding me and bringing me out here.
No, it was a blast. I'm glad.
Now we're sitting on a podcast together.
Sitting on a podcast.
7 years later.
In your dock, and yeah, man, just living life.
Good stuff, man. We've had a good chapter. There's a nice little ribbon tied off at the end of this chapter, but I'm super excited for you for this next chapter, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for coming on. Cody Pastorino.
No problem.
All right, man.
All right, Bean.